brought to you by GS1 Australia. GS1 is the go-to for all your barcode needs. Head to gs1au.org and discover next generation 2D barcodes, a game changer for food and drink businesses. In the news this week, a warning that this story is about sexual harassment, assault and violence. Perfection Fresh is being sued by 12 women who worked at its Two Wells glasshouse in South Australia for workplace sexual harassment. The United Workers Union is representing the women and says it is the largest case of workplace sexual harassment and assault ever brought before the federal court. The women were employed by a labour hire company and then contracted to Perfection Fresh. The case involves allegations against two men who the women say were in positions of authority, trust and control. It involves unwanted sexual advances, requests for sexual favours, exposing themselves and grabbing the women on their bottoms and breasts on dozens of occasions. Perfection Fresh said it was not liable for the alleged conduct because it didn't cause, aid, instruct or permit the conduct to occur, and that it had policies in place to prevent employees from engaging in unlawful sexual harassment. The United Workers Union said it must be the responsibility of the employer to provide a safe workplace, free from gendered workplace violence, especially where the employment model increases the power imbalance, as it does for women that come to work in Australia's horticulture sector on the PALM program. Perfection Fresh said that when it learnt of the allegations, it stood the men down and just started an independent investigation. One of the men resigned before the investigation into his alleged behaviour was complete, and the other's employment was terminated. Staying in the courts, the Australian Taxation Office says a federal court decision that PepsiCo is liable for royalty withholding tax is a landmark decision. It was also the first time a court had considered the diverted profits tax since it was introduced in 2017. PepsiCo may appeal the decision, and the dispute was in relation to the company's behaviour in financial years 18 and 19 regarding exclusive bottling agreements with Schweppes Australia that were signed in 2009. It was about whether payments made by Schweppes under the bottling agreements constituted royalties in terms of the royalty withholding tax, or if the payments to Schweppes didn't constitute royalties, was it a scheme that then fell under the diverted profits tax? Federal Court Justice Mark Muschinsky found in favour of the ATO and the royalty withholding tax argument. ATO Deputy Commissioner Rebecca Saint said that while there may be more to play out in this case, it sends a strong signal to other businesses with similar arrangements to review their processes and consider their tax outcomes. Talking about tax, and not to alarm anyone, but next Thursday is the 1st of February. Now, while surprising in and of itself, it also means the Australian Bureau of Statistics releases the latest consumer price index. This has direct implications for the spirits and beer sectors because the excise tax they pay is indexed to the CPI. In August last year, the excise on spirits crossed the $100 per litre threshold, and the industry is expecting it to rise again next week. Diageo's Bundaberg Rum has launched a campaign against the tax, spurred on by the fact a bottle of Bundy is currently taxed at 63% per litre. It's got the full backing of the Australian Distillers Association, with Chief Executive Paul McClay saying that the excise was felt keenly across the country's 600 spirit distillers. The co-founder and CEO of Cape Byron Distillery, Eddie Brooke, said it was an unsustainable and archaic system that was driving inflation, significantly increasing the costs of spirits and beer at the bar and bottle shop, and strangling small business by reducing their margins every 6 months. The CPI is updated twice a year, on 1 February and 1 August. The chair of Bundaberg Distilling Co, Amanda Lampe, said trying to keep products affordable while grappling with increases in energy, raw materials and freight was incredibly challenging, and she called on the federal government to freeze the excise. The Independent Brewers Association is making the same call. IBA CEO Kylie Lethbridge said the industry was overburdened and overregulated, with Australian beer and spirits the third highest taxed in the world. In 2021, a $350 rebate was introduced, but it has remained static while the excise gets indexed twice a year. Similar to Amanda Lampe, Lethbridge said raw material costs have increased 37 to 40% in the last 12 months for craft brewers. Freight costs are still hurting, as they are the whole industry, and packaging costs have increased exponentially. This has all been compounded by a CO2 gas shortage, and as a high-end user of the energy, some breweries have seen the price of gas rise by 51%. Also, many craft brewers are carrying large excise debts from during the pandemic, and Lethbridge said the ATO is not being flexible in repayment options. What it's doing is forcing breweries into voluntary redundancy, where the ATO gets about 7 cents in the dollar. Lethbridge said if the ATO would give them options to pay it off over a longer period of time, then it would probably get the full amount, and the breweries could keep operating, employing people, and being a part of their communities. My interview with Lethbridge came after the news that one of the most well-known craft breweries, Wayward Brewing, went into voluntary redundancy at the beginning of the year and had to lay off 25 to 30% of its workforce before Christmas. The second creditors meeting was yesterday, and the hope is that the company can restructure and continue operating. Eighth Day Foods has created an alternative protein which takes the whole pulse, bean or legume, puts it through its patented rapid solid state fermentation process, and ends up with a plant protein that looks like a piece of fish, cooks like a piece of fish, and tastes like a piece of fish. It contains only 2 to 3 clean ingredients, the bean and some natural flavouring, and has no need for binders or other additives. Company founders Roger and Jen Drew have basically made a fish-adjacent fish out of the entire bean used to make baked beans. They're doing remarkable work that has created a nutritious, cheap, easily scalable plant protein that no one else is doing in the world. They also need investors to push it to the next level, meaning scaling and commercialisation. So if you are, or you know someone who is, partial to investing in true innovation, send them to Eighth Day Foods. Tenders for Sara Lee that went into voluntary administration last October closed last Friday. We will, of course, have more news on that as it comes to hand. Our Industry Excellence Awards, the Hive Awards, are underway. Entries are coming in, very excited. We have some amazing judges, and you have until the 23rd of February to get your entry in. That's enough of a really chunky news week. For all these stories and more, head to the website, foodanddrinkbusiness.com.au. Remember to subscribe, tell your family and friends, and thanks to GS1 Australia. And with that, I'm Kim Berry, over and out.